rushing hell. I've been rushing to get on here on time for you. I just finished my group coaching session in my client group, literally on the hour, so I had to run in here, lights, camera, action, make sure I got my notebook ready for you and get going. I'm so excited for tonight's training. Really excited for it, because I had a massive light bulb moment whilst putting together some training the other day, which has now, as a result, meant that I'm sharing this with you tonight. And I'm just going to go onto my business page now on another device. Multiple devices, day in the life of a online entrepreneur. It's just mental. Because I'm just going to share this now as I'm talking to you. Do the same, guys, if you get value from the sessions that I run here every week. Hi guys, hi Eva, hey Andrea, hi Kelly. Yeah, if you get value from the things that I share with you, please share the video tonight. Let's help more people. So I'm gonna just share this now so that people can get logged in. And then we'll make a start. So as you're getting logged in, my sister, hi Jess. Sister and best friend in the whole world. She had to put up with me moaning at her earlier. She's the person that I call whenever life throws me a curveball, and she's that one person that I can just scream at and she won't judge me. So she gets that job, which is nice for her. Okay, so as you're getting logged in, give me a hashtag live if you're live. Hi Clara. Clara, I'm sure you've changed. I'm sure it said Claire before. I've been calling you Claire. If I've been calling you the wrong name all this time, please tell me, unless you've changed it recently. Wouldn't change it, she says. Everyone needs a sister like mine, honestly. She's amazing. As you're logging in, let me know that you're here live by giving me a hashtag live. Let me know where you're logging in from as well. Where are you in the world? Are you in England, where I'm from? Are you not? I know we get lots of people from America and all over the world, and I love to hear who's logging in and where from. Hey Michaela. So let me know where you are. It is Claire. I thought it was. I just saw it come up, and I saw it recently and thought, I've been calling her Claire. I bet she thinks, bloody hell. I'm glad that it's not, that I've been calling you the wrong name. It's been absolute glorious sunshine here in Spain today. I've been sat in the garden working in my bikini for the first time this year, and that felt good. I've just realised about myself that I'm just happier in the sun. I just am. I could never live in a cold country anymore. If you're watching on replay tonight, give me a hashtag replay. And if you're a newbie, if you've never logged into one of my live sessions before, let me know. Hi Brehi, hi again. Brehi's in my client group, so she was just over there in another session with me. You're going to be sick of me tonight. And also, if you're a newbie, give me a hashtag newbie and let me know, because I do these sessions every week, every Monday at the same time. Hey Jem. Hey Caroline, and I'm going to stop saying hello now because it's distracting me. So I do these sessions every Monday. Soul-centered millionaire. Hey newbie. I know I said I wasn't going to, but you're a newbie, so I am going to. Hi Stephanie, welcome. Soul-centered millionaire TV, where strategy meets source. So it's where we combine no bullshit business strategy that helps female entrepreneurs create seven-figure success, following the exact same steps that I've followed to create my own seven-figure success in business. Hey newbie, hi Diane. But with a sprinkle of magic, and that magic is source connection, alignment, that tapping into our infinite potential. Some people call it God, some people call it intuition, some people call it source, universe, call it whatever you want. I believe it exists, and it's played a massive part in my success. So I wouldn't be where I am. I couldn't have done what I've done without really getting aligned with who I really am at my source. And tapping into that potential. So some weeks we talk about strategy, and some weeks we talk about all things woo-woo. And you can find me here every week at the same time talking about this stuff. Now tonight what I want to talk about came off the back of something just that hit me like a train this week. So I was putting, I've got some notes here to make sure I don't miss anything, but I was putting together a training for my client group, and part of that training was about the fact that it can be our expectations, the expectations that we place upon ourselves can very often be the root of our struggles, and for some people the root of failure, because we almost overestimate what we can do in 5 months, stamp our feet when we're not a millionaire yet, and miss the point and underestimate what we could do in 5 years if we didn't become deflated and so quickly. But it's that over expectation very often that can put us in that position, and that can be the root of that. And as I was putting this training together, I sat and reflected for a little bit, because whenever I'm training, whenever I'm coaching, whenever I'm developing anything for people, I always refer back to my own personal struggles, my own experiences, because I've only got that to draw on. I never teach philosophy. I don't share philosophy in my coaching programs. It's stuff that I've done, had results with, tried, tested, and because it's not, otherwise you're not really, you know, you might be regurgitating information, but you can't really help people with it, because if they get a challenge, you can't help them through it because you don't really know, because it's all just philosophy. So I pride myself on never being that person. So I was looking at my own journey, and I thought, it is true, so many people underestimate what they can do in 5 years because they overestimate what they can do in 5 months, get really frustrated when they're not there yet, and then it hinders their long-term result. And I thought, where was I 5 years ago? And I retraced my steps, and actually Jess, my sister, who I just mentioned, you played a part in this without realising it, because it's been my sister's birthday recently. And I thought, okay, 5 years ago, when it was my sister's birthday, where was I, what was I doing? And then I suddenly remembered what life was like 5 years ago in detail. It took me right back to a day where my family were meeting for lunch. So they were popping to IKEA. Any of you that live in the UK or Europe, you'll know IKEA, the furniture store. They do the most amazing meatballs. And I think my sister had said, I want meatballs or something. But there was a reason that we were meeting in IKEA for lunch. And my sister and my mum had said to me, are you going to meet us for lunch for your sister's birthday? Now at the time, this is why I remember this so vividly, because at the time I was working in sales for a solar panel company. I'd gone back to a job to fund my business and pay my bills. She remembers. To fund my business and pay my bills, because we had a bit of a financial crisis really, and I felt like such a failure at the time being back in a job, because I'd left the corporate world once. I'd gone out there on my own as a full-time entrepreneur, and I thought I'd made it, and I'd gotten myself to a point prior to this where I'd not just survived, because that's the first step, isn't it? Survive without a wage, cover your bills, but I'd not just survived, I'd thrived. I'd earned, a significant income as an entrepreneur, and suddenly I'd found myself back in a place where I needed to go and get an income, a wage, a job, and I felt like such a failure. The reality is, I hadn't failed. I was doing what I needed to do in the short term to have what I wanted in the long term, but at the time it felt really shit. And at the time when he was really tight. And there's so many lessons in here that I want to share with you, because the fear was so great. Oh my God, what if it never comes together? Oh God, what will people think? Money was so tight that and time was so tight, because you feel like time's running out when you're under pressure. Like when you put too much pressure on yourself, you feel like time's running out and there's a clock ticking and you've got to achieve a certain thing by a certain time, or else the world's going to implode and you're going to go bankrupt and you're going to lose your house, and all these things are going through my head. And all I could think was, of course I want to be there for my sister's birthday, but I was so scared of taking the time off. And buying lunch out was such a luxury that I didn't feel that I could, and I mean, any of you that know IKEA will know it's the cheapest food, like literally it's so cheap. Meatballs and chips you can get for like a couple of quid. It was on such a tight budget, and time was so precious because I felt like it was running out, and I was so scared, financially scared, stuck in that scarcity, that I really couldn't even enjoy that day. We did go. And my sister, you'll probably remember this, halfway through the meal I took a phone call, and one of the clients that I'd got at the time for this new business was backing out, and it meant that this income that I'd got guaranteed, or I thought I'd got guaranteed in the next few months, had now just disappeared, on top of all the already financial pressure I'd got, on top of working full-time selling solar panels. And I took that call and I walked, burst out crying, didn't want to cry in front of my family. My nan was there, I didn't want to worry my nan, so I went to the car and just messaged my sister. I don't know if I messaged you or phoned you, I can't remember, and just said I can't come back in, I've got to go, and left. And I was just, it was awful, and I can remember how that feels. It was 5 years ago. I can remember that feeling of anxiety in my chest, not enjoying experiences and being present for my family the way I should have been because of the fear. And the reality was, at that point, I've made notes, I literally sat and took myself back to this moment. Here's what happened in this moment. I'd been in a business that I'd learnt a lot about entrepreneurship. I'd made good money, great. It wasn't the right business for me. It just wasn't. It was flawed. It was fundamentally flawed because I didn't have total control over it. I was in a business where I was in events, nightclubs, and I was paid by these clubs to make them busy, so my contracts was with corporations. Now here's the thing, when you've got contracts with corporations like that, is it's a little bit like being employed because you have to answer to them. So it didn't really fit my big vision of being location independent, travelling the world and having leverage, you know, being able to leverage my time and have freedom. It didn't fit any of those things. So it wasn't actually the right business for me. The other reason it was flawed is because whenever I tried to leverage and put people in to these gigs in clubs to manage for me so I could take time off, one of the things that always happened over and over again is people got greedy. You know, I'd train them up to do what I did. They'd make a relationship with the nightclub. They'd get greedy and think, I kind of know how to do what she does now. I can cut her out. And they'd go behind my back, cut me out of my own deal, go to the nightclub owner and say, I'll do it for less. And money talks, and they'd undercut me. And this happened over and over again. And we transitioned at this point out of that business because it was flawed and started a new business that was much more aligned with what we wanted to achieve for our lifestyle, but also we had more control over it. But it was a new business. It was a brand new business, so I'd had to go back into work to fund it. Because, you know, what we can't do and fall into the trap of doing is putting unrealistic expectations on a brand new business, or even putting them on yourself as a brand new entrepreneur that's not achieved anything yet in business. You know, if we've got a timescale to work to, we're in trouble already. We've already failed because we're going to put so much pressure on ourselves that you can't see the woods for the trees, you can't think straight. That fear is all consuming, and that's how I felt in that moment in IKEA. And I was already working in this job that I hated, and that was my reality back then. That's 5 years ago. Some other things that were going on for me around that time was I'd got a mortgage, and it was a big mortgage, and I had no idea what was going to happen with my house. I'd worked really hard to get this mortgage, and to be honest with you, I resented the house. It made me feel sick because all I was worried about was losing it. It was like a noose around my neck. So I couldn't really appreciate it because I was killing myself trying to keep paying for it. And I was blaming people as well. I was blaming the people that had screwed me over, the friends that I'd hired and trained and that had then gone behind my back and undercut me in my contracts. And I was blaming the nightclub owners for allowing that to happen. I was blaming all sorts of people when it was my responsibility. I chose to go into a business that was flawed. I chose to go into a business where people had the ability to do that. The book stops with me, it's my business. But it's where I was at. I was in a quite a bad place 5 years ago. I remember having a mentor at the time that said to me, Michelle, and he's a great, great guy, still somebody now that I look up to so much. And we're at an event together, and we were just chatting in general, and it was a passing comment. He said, Michelle, if it takes you 5 years to really master this entrepreneurship stuff and really get a handle on it, you'll live one hell of an extraordinary life by the age of 35, and that's a good place to be. And you'd think, wouldn't you, that in that moment I'd been inspired by that and uplifted by that, and I wasn't. I looked at him and I thought, 5 years, is he mad? I've got 5 months and I've got to fucking make this work or else I'm bankrupt. And that was unhealthy because he was right. I was missing the point. The message was there. But they say, don't they, when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. That message was lost on me. It didn't land for years later, and I thought, he was right. He was right. But I wasn't ready to receive the message. Because in that moment I was like, just somebody show me how to do it faster, because I ain't got 5 years. And it was the wrong attitude to have, but it's where I was at. And I was also making some pretty bad decisions driven by that fear. One of those decisions was to hire someone that, I'm not going to mention names because I don't even know if they might not even be in business. I would guess they're probably not actually. It was this like social media management company that basically offered a service where they take over your business page for you on Facebook, and they generate likes for it. So they grow your audience, grow your likes, and they also run adverts for you to convert into leads. So what I did was I took some of the little money that I had and put it into that. I put it into paying someone to do something for me rather than paying for my own knowledge, and that was my big mistake. But I wasn't thinking clearly because I was being driven by fear, and this is what happens when we're too focused on the short term. Because I just paid people large sums of money to do a job that I didn't know how to do for my own business, which is ludicrous, isn't it? And this is a massive mistake that I see people making all the time. And I've done it, I'm guilty of everything I ever share with you that's a mistake. I guarantee if I share it with you, I've done it. But I see people taking the money they do have and investing it into things rather than themselves. What I should have been investing in is my own skills, my own knowledge, so that I know how to run my own adverts and grow my own likes and make my business page lucrative myself. Because how the hell was I ever going to hold somebody accountable to do me a good job if I didn't even know what good looks like? It was ludicrous, but I did it. And people do this. Just pay for someone else to do it because that seems like the quicker route. It is never the quicker route because you don't have control. So what ended up happening was I paid these people, and what they did was they fabricated likes on my business page, and when I looked at the likes, they were all from people in like all these different countries like China, etc., that weren't my ideal clients at all. And when I looked at their profiles, they looked like fake profiles. So they obviously got like people just, that were paid to just go and like a ton of pages. And when I questioned it, they said to me, it doesn't matter because your likes are only really good for one thing, and that's credibility. You just want people to look at your page and feel like it's credible with all the likes that it's got. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that was a pile of shit, because that is a pile of shit. I now know to run successful Facebook ads, you need to be able to generate lookalike audiences from your organic audience. You have an organic audience. If I'd have generated lookalike audiences for ads based on that, it would have just gone out to loads of fake profiles. So it was absolutely idiotic advice I was being given, but I didn't know, so I just kept paying for it. Obviously, I got no results a few months down the line, then you've got no results and you're frustrated, and who have I got to blame? Them? No, me and my decisions. So I started to make some bad decisions, and this is where I was at. Now that was 5 years ago. And now, today, just 5 years down the line, it's like a totally different world. It's like night and day when I look back and think about then and now. And really, I can't believe it's only been 5 years. Like, for example, the lifestyle I lead, first of all, because that's what I did it for. It's not about the money. I mean, yeah, I can tell you that, of course, I've got $1 million business, millionaire lifestyle and all of that stuff, and that's great, but it's not why I started, really. I started because I had a dream of being time-free and financially free so that I could have more choices and make more memories and live an extraordinary life. I have never, ever, and if you're an entrepreneur, you'll relate to this because everybody I speak to does, I've never, ever felt okay with just being okay. When I looked at all of my friends around me that were just, living in, buying houses and having jobs and having a couple of kids and going to work every day, coming back, watching the telly, eating the tea and going to bed, it made me feel sick. I just knew it wasn't for me. I just didn't want it. It didn't excite me. I'm not knocking anybody that does excite, each to their own, but for me, it did not excite me. And I wanted an extraordinary life. But what extraordinary meant to me was travelling to loads of destinations and experiencing cultures and making memories and being able to look at my watch and go, what day is it? What's the day? I'm bored. Let's go and work in Bali and doing it, and waking up to sunshine every day and working in my bikini by a pool if I want to, and helping people in the process. And today I do that. And that mortgage that I had that felt like a noose, I'm 33 and I'm mortgage free. I'm just buying a house now, cash. And I keep buying property every year as investment properties. And if I want to stop working at some point, I can stop working and know that I'm taken care of from my assets. But more than all of that stuff is what I know. Because it's what you know that counts. Because, I could lose the business I've got now overnight. but I'd still know how to make money because entrepreneurship's a mindset. So, and when you can say that, that's real stability. That's real freedom and peace of mind, because you know that you can just keep creating the same success for yourself because you've invested time and money into who you are and what you know, and no one can ever take that from you. No one can ever take what's in here from you, ever. And that should always be our first investment. So how have I made the last 5 years the best 5 years of my life? And how can you make the next 5 years the best 5 years of your life in a few areas, in business, in wealth, in abundance, but in happiness and fulfillment, and not just having your best business, but living your best life, because what's the point otherwise? And I've got 5 steps for you that I believe, when I look back, have made the biggest difference to me. The first one is, and it's a piece of advice really, is don't give up the job too soon. Don't give up the job too soon and put yourself under unnecessary financial pressure, because it's not gonna do you any good. I see people doing this a lot, and they're always the people that have the biggest mindset battles with fear at some point, and it comes at different points for everybody, but it comes. Hey Laura. It comes because when we put ourselves under financial pressure, it clouds our judgment. It puts you in that state that I was in IKEA that day. And it doesn't make you productive. There's a small percentage of people, and it's a tiny percentage, that when they work really well under pressure, and when they leave jobs too soon, before they're ready to, and they put themselves under financial pressure, it lights a flame underneath them, and they do more. But if you leave a job too soon, the job that's paying your bills, be grateful for it, is what I say. Be grateful for it and stay in that position for as long as you can, before it being ridiculous. I've left jobs too soon. I've done it because I just hated them. And you do if you're an entrepreneur. You don't want to be in them. Every day you're in them, you feel like it's sucking the life out of you. But the reality is, when you leave too quick, you then panic. You're not working from a place of inspiration and creativity and focus and clarity, because you don't have it, because you're like, shit, this has got to work quick. And if you're going, I've got 5 months before I'm fucked, you're already fucked. Because every day that gets closer, it's like this clock's ticking, and you're like, oh, and you don't think straight, and you make bad decisions. You do what I did, like you might start blaming people, like I blamed all the people that screwed me over, but the book stopped with me really. You might start paying people for the wrong thing and knee-jerk reaction to try and speed up the process of success. You ain't going to speed up the process of success. You want to earn fast, you got to learn fast, and you got to work on you fast, and you've got to execute fast. It's the only way around it, but leaving a job too soon just intensifies all of that stuff. So it's about having a short-term financial plan while you're working on the long-term financial vision, always. The second thing is, make your investment in you. Make your investment in you. That's me right now, literally 5 months till my 9-to-5 contract is up. It's really common, really common. Make your investment in you the biggest thing, that is the biggest expense, and make all your other expenses really, really small. Like, do you know, one of the biggest reasons that I was resenting the house I was living in, that I'd got this deposit together for and got this mortgage, and everyone around me, that was their lifelong goal, to be on the property ladder. It's dated advice. What I thought was, that grand a month that I'm paying for this freaking house could be going towards skill. It could be going towards hiring a great coach that can teach me some things, that can see me buy 10 houses in the future if I want to, cash. It was just a noose around my neck, because it doesn't make any financial sense, but people do it over and over again. So many times I've spoke to people, and it's frustrating. I'm frustrated for them, because I can see where the thinking needs to change, or else nothing's going to happen. But people will approach me and they'll say, Michelle, I want to work with you. I want you to teach me, I want you to help me. I'll get on a call with them, we'll talk about that, and then it comes to them committing with their money to do it, and things will come out like, oh, it's a bit of a stretch for me, because I've got a holiday coming up, or I'm having a new bathroom, or I'm just getting a deposit together for a house and that's my priority right now. Like, you gotta fucking listen to what you're saying. Listen to what you're saying. Listen to where your future and your wealth and your big vision is ranking on your list of priorities right now. Because if you're saving 30 grand for a deposit to get onto a property ladder to buy a house that's only ever going to cost you money, some people won't agree with this advice. I am being a big fan of Robert Kiyosaki's work. I know that your house is not an asset because an asset makes you money. Houses are assets if you've got a property portfolio that are bringing in a rental income. That's an asset. The house that you're sat in, paying for a mortgage on every month is not an asset. That's a liability because it's only ever going to cost you money. So if you're saving to put money into a liability rather than investing in you so that you can be better and create more, then your priorities are wrong. And there's never a good time to invest. Never. It's always scary. It's always going to be a stretch. But money is the currency of commitment, and what you're doing with it shows where your commitment is right now. Every time. So you've got to make yourself uncomfortable, but make yourself small in every other area. I lived in a caravan. That's the truth. The newspapers did a story on me. All the UK, like national newspapers did stories on me and James, because they were gobsmacked that suddenly this couple had like sold everything they owned. I sold everything I owned. I rented that house out that was like a fucking noose around my neck. And I went in a caravan and I got to work on my business, and every bit of money I had went into investment in me. I had 5 pairs of jeans, a couple of jumpers, some shoes. We ain't got room for much in a caravan. And we travelled around the country. We lived a rich life, but rich in the right way. I woke up to sea views most mornings. I worked from some of the most beautiful countryside locations in my little bus with James and I, just like pigs in shit we were, like, and every bit of money I had went to my self-development, investing in me and my business, and that was my priority. I would eat beans on toast before I'll buy a fucking takeaway and not invest in me. And the same people that say to me, it's not the right time for me to invest, are sat in a house that they've invested in, probably talking to me on a computer that they've bought, dressed in clothes that they've just parted with money for, driving cars that they're parting with money for, probably eating takeaway. And it's priorities. It's never about the money. It's always about the priorities and the commitment being in the wrong place. So if you're sat right now wanting your next 5 years to be the best 5 years, then you need to be investing in you. The biggest part of your money that you have needs to be going to you, and make yourself small. Cancel Sky, cancel the gym membership, fuck everything off, and just focus on the right things for the next 5 years. Because I promise you, in 5 years you'll be glad you did. Do you think I've ever woken up in the life that I'm living right now and thought, do you know what, I really, really hated those times when I lived in that caravan and didn't have Sky and wasn't able to go to the gym or eat takeaway, and I had beans on toast most nights. I never even think about it. It's like a distant memory. I don't even remember the pain. A bit like childbirth, I think. A bit like childbirth. You know how you ever speak to a new mum, and people like me who haven't had children will say to mums, did it hurt? It's one of my first questions when my sister had Lottie. I was like, oh, did it hurt? Everybody asks that, don't they? Did it hurt? And what do mums always say? I don't know, it was worth it. It's like they forgot the pain. You will forget the pain that you're about to go through. It's just like giving birth, they hold that baby and everything was worth it. You grab your lifestyle, the life that you've always wanted, and it will all be worth it. I promise you. You've just got to make the right choices. You've got to make the right decisions. And it's a series of small decisions. This is the thing. Everybody's looking for that fucking magic bullet. My language is foul tonight, but I'm so passionate about this because everybody's looking for that magic bullet. And when they don't find it, they get pissed off, start stamping their feet when they're not a millionaire in 5 months. The magic bullet doesn't exist. It is a series of choices that are really easy to make, but they're also really easy to not make too. And that's why they catch you out, because it's little things that build up to the big things. not investing when we should invest in ourselves, not turning up to that coaching session, not reading that book because we did something else instead. Those little, they all compound into your results in the end. If you've never read The Compound Effect, read it. It's an amazing, amazing read. It changed my life because it made me see all this for what it is. You've got to make the right decisions and you've got to start now. Number 3, focus on having joy and balance from the start. You know, balance and happiness is a discipline like anything else that doesn't come unless you prioritise it. So you can't say things like, well, I'll celebrate when I hit that income. I'll take time off when I hit that milestone. Well, I'll start enjoying the journey more when I can pay my bills from my business. Because you won't. And you won't be paying your bills from your business until you start enjoying the journey and until you have some balance. Because the harder you work, sometimes the more you need something to work, the more it eludes you. Because you find yourself pushing yourself a little bit too hard and being unrealistic with what you can cope with and manage over a long period of time. It's not sustainable. Self-care, taking time out, taking a step back, reflecting, giving ourselves time out to do things that light us up and have joy. Finding joy in our work. All of these things have to be a discipline from the start. Because you know what, when I was at IKEA that day feeling guilty for taking time out and buying some meatballs, I was missing the point completely. Because actually, if I'd have just gone, okay, the opposite to what I was being called to do by my fear, and just clear my diary and take 2 days out and not touch social media and totally disconnect, I would have achieved way more in 10 minutes than I could in a week back then, because I wasn't rested. And when you're not rested, you don't achieve. Social media is amazing in so many ways. I mean, I wouldn't be sat here talking to you tonight if it wasn't for it. I wouldn't have built the business I have if I wasn't for it. I'm eternally grateful for Zuckerberg. Like, literally would bow down at his feet if he was in front of me now. I'm so grateful. But I also know that there's downsides to everything. There's flip sides to everything. And we are overstimulated as a generation by social media. It's driven to keep us on it, the notifications, and it's really easy to become addicted to it, and it's really easy to lose focus and stop appreciating what's important. We have to remove ourselves every now and then. We have to give ourselves time away. We've got to take time to do old-fashioned things like read a book or take a walk in nature and ground ourselves with. Nature's amazing for grounding yourself and bringing yourself back into alignment. Doing things just because they're fun. Because when you're happy, it's where you get those flashes of inspiration. And I've had my best ideas when I'm on holiday. Not when I've been sat in front of a computer trying hard for them to come. That's when they elude you. So get into the zone of joy and have balance now as a discipline, because don't play the I'll do it when game, because you won't get to when unless you have it. Number 5, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. It's one of my all-time favourite quotes from Jim Rohn, and it's something I live and die by. If you find yourself wishing the journey was easier, you're missing the point, because it's not going to get easier. You've got to be better. So mindset before money, that's the rule. Look at your results right now. Look how much money you're earning. That's a reflection of what you're capable of right now. That's a reflection of who you are as an entrepreneur right now. It's nobody else's fault. So just look in the mirror with your check that you get every month from your business and say, you are responsible for that. If that's going to change, it's up to you. So what do I need to do? Who do I need to become? What do I need to be master? Where do I need to be better? Some challenges you'll have as an entrepreneur will bring you to your knees. They will. It's why not everybody's successful. It's why not everybody's going to make it. It's why half the people that you follow on Facebook right now, 98% of them, in fact, not half, 98% of the people that you follow on Facebook right now that you're associated with won't be in business in the next 5 years, let alone living the life that they're set out to live. That is the reality of it. That's why you're the minority if you do. That's why you're in the top 2%. You get to decide what percent you're in. But you're only going to do it by striving to be better constantly. The 98% are going to be wishing it was easier and moaning when it's not. To be in the 2%, we've got to become really extraordinary. And you get to choose that every day, but it's just adopting that attitude. Every time we face a struggle, how do I need to be better to overcome this? And if I don't overcome it this time, and I fail, and I don't hit my goals because of it, or disaster strikes because of it, what am I going to do next time? What do I need to do next time differently? It's nobody else's fault. Like, even when people are really shit to you, because they will be, because it's business, and you're not successful until you've got a serious amount of hate, because it just comes part and parcel of it, because as you shine your light, it's going to be way too bright for some people, and they're not going to like it, and they're going to project their shit on you as part of being in the 2%. When it happens, how do you pull yourself away from that and ask, how can I be better? How can I cope with it better, deal with it better, rise above it better? Not prevent it or change them, because that's not about you, it's about them, but it's constantly asking what you need to do. Now I want you to comment tonight on this video publicly. Guess what? 98% of people that watch this video won't do it. I'll give you a clue. Who will? And how that correlates to your success, because you're either that person or you're not. You know, and it's as simple as that. It shows up in everything you do. How you do anything is how you do everything. Tonight, pledge to be in the 2%, but I want to know why. What's that 5-year vision that is so important to you that if you don't hit it in 5 minutes, you're not going to stamp your feet, throw your toys out the pram and give up, change direction and do all the other sorts of things that people do. You're going to stick with it constantly, consistently, no matter how painful it gets, because you can't live without it. What is it? Because that's the reason I'm sat here today, I'll be honest. The desire has to be greater than anything else. The need for it has to be greater than everything else, to make you feel so restless that it keeps you awake at night, the thought of not having it. It's almost like uncomfortable, like you can't sit still. That's how I feel still now about my next level, my next goal. But it's how I felt back then. The thought of, you know, being in my dream house, mortgage free, in the sun, travelling everywhere I want, whenever I want to, with James, making memories, was all, it consumed me. It's all I could think about, because the alternative, let's be honest, the alternative was 40, 50 years in a job that I don't love, living a life that felt like it was meant for someone else. That's the difference. And your desire for that, whatever it is, has got to be so great that you'll walk over hot coals and chew glass some days, because that's how painful it's going to feel some days, to get there. And it's about doing whatever it takes for as long as it takes. Not, oh, well, I've been doing this for a few months now, nothing's happening, so fuck's sake, I need to try something else, do something else and start. It's about having laser focus until you get there, and not stopping until you do. And sometimes you'll miss goals. Sometimes you'll, in fact, you'll probably hit them. You'll probably miss them more than you hit them. That's the reality. Like when I look back on all the goals I've set, a lot of them I've not hit first time. It's took time and time again. Don't buy into the overnight success bullshit. Look, you could look at my story and think, yes, I started a coaching business and in year 1 made $1 million. But I wasn't an overnight success. There's a load of shit that had to happen before that, of struggle and growth and investment and living in caravans and eating beans on toast and feeling scared to buy meatballs in IKEA. All that stuff went on previously. So don't, you know, take a snapshot of someone's journey and make this false sense of reality for yourself. Do people achieve really outrageous things really quickly? Of course they do. Will you be one of them? Fuck knows. Only you are going to determine that. But if you're not, you've got to have the stick-to-itness to carry on. And on, and on, and on, no matter how many times it takes you to get there without giving up, because that's how you get in the top 2%, and that's the reality of it. Sometimes you have to go back to a job. Sometimes you'll have to, as Gary Vee would say, eat shit to get to where you want to go, but you just got to keep doing it until you get there. I'm loving that you're all starting to post your pledges. I'm going to read every single one of them. That's my pledge to you. I'm going to comment back to every single one of you to acknowledge that I've read it, and I'll watch with interest. Thank you so much for logging in tonight. Please share this with somebody that you feel needs to know this stuff and that you know is capable of being in the top 2%. Share it if you feel comfortable sharing it on your wall, so we can reach more people with this message, because there are far too many people out there giving up on their dreams before they've even got started. Lots of love. See you next week.